on BBC Radio Somerset. It's 24 minutes past 7 o'clock. Good evening. It's Charlie Taylor here with you through until 10 tonight. And on a Monday night, we like to talk about art. All forms of art, be it visual art, dance, audio art. We've done a few audio art things. It's been very interesting hearing some of those artworks. All that sort of stuff here on a Monday night on BBC Radio Somerset. Very pleased that we can speak to an artist from Street tonight, a guy called Mark Noble. Does fantastic artwork. Been looking through his website today. Really worth a look. We'll come on and talk about that and where you can see Mark's stuff. But first of all, let's find out a bit more about him. Mark, welcome to the programme. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to this interview.
Oh, good. Well, it was lovely to have you here. I've been looking forward to it as well, actually, because you've got quite an amazing story, haven't you, Mark? Really, you were talking to me a little bit earlier. You've got, is it dyslexia and autism? Is that right?
Yes, when I started back at university, when I started back at Stroke, that's when they diagnosed me with severe dyslexia. And that's when I first started re-educating myself. That's when I got diagnosed at Strode College.
Okay, so was it the teachers or the lecturers at Strode College who noticed it and decided to help you out with that?
It was me, because obviously I started on a New Start course and then the English, math, and I just weren't making no progress. There's something weren't working right. So I went to the line manager, explained it, and they got me sorted. I sat down in a room for 2.5 hours. They asked me a set of questions, and a couple of weeks later, the results come back. I was just dyslexic and also partly autistic.
Wow, gosh. How old were you when that happened, Mark?
I was about 41 years. I was about 41, but when in my child, I went to a specialist school called Avalon School, but then in the 70s, it wasn't so much known about. But obviously today, it's called the autism spectrum. It's a lot more known about it.
I see. So you were 14. So up until that point, you hadn't known, which I guess makes things. We were looking back. Do you remember looking back on the first 14 years of your life and thinking, well, that explains a bit. Now I've been diagnosed with dyslexia and with autism.
I thought you get used to the idea, but obviously I knew there was something not quite right, or it's the visual, it's how you interpret the world around you, and obviously read. My parents were fantastic readers, and I just couldn't. Obviously, I couldn't even read even the simplest text wouldn't make sense. The pictures would, but the writing, the mathematics weren't so clear.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, because of the dyslexia. Well, that's difficult for you then, especially if you come from a family of readers. It becomes even more tricky, I guess. Okay, well, you found your way into art. Do you remember when you first started doing your art?
Yeah, when I was at High School, I did art, but I didn't realise a lot of teachers would take me to other lessons to show other children, and this went on to Avalon School. They would ask me to demonstrate how to draw a picture or draw a tree, and that sort of, I had some inkling, but the obvious inkling as a child, you really don't really take no attention to it, really.
So when, as an adult then, Mark, when did you start to did you always do art, or was there a gap once you left school and then you've found it more recently? I worked at various jobs from in coal. I'm a family man, and now I'm a grandfather to 2 beautiful grandchildren. And it's when my marriage, things changed. In 2001, I wanted to re-educate myself, so I started on a New Start course, and there was a module about art. So I really jumped at that, and that's when I really discovered what I can create on canvas come flooding back to me. Brilliant. Oh, so you never really lost it. It was all in there, but it took you to doing one of those New Start courses, and that's what that got you doing it again. Brilliant.
That's correct. Yes, definitely.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so I spoke to you a little bit earlier on as well, and I know that you've had a bit of trouble, haven't you, with alcohol in the past as well? Is that right?
Yeah, true. I think you just walk into it really, and first of all, drinking weren't a major problem then.
then it took on as it was quite serious. And I wasn't alcohol, but binge drinking was a problem. And being a very creative person, but I think a lot of it was just boredom, really.
Yeah. Gosh. So how did that affect you in your life? Do you think, your drinking?
I suppose because it didn't really affect me as such. But older, as you get a bit older, it just it generally affected friendships, families, and put pressure on my family. That's how it affected me. And health-wise, it wasn't doing my health no good, and people spotted that in my work because it wasn't the quality I was producing, and people picked that up. And then I went to Turning Point, and they really put me on the path to a much better way of coping with these issues.
Yeah, gosh, I mean, you said it didn't affect you much, but if you said friendships and family was affected as well as the quality of your work as well, I mean, it did have an impact on you, didn't it? So, so well done getting past it. Tell me about Turning Point. For those who don't know it, is it a local charity?
Turning Point is a national charity. They're based in Street Through, and they help you with drink problems and drug problems. And they basically, you sit down and chat, and you do groups. And eventually, I went on to peer mentorship. And they got a big place in Taunton, and obviously now I think their work is much more needed. What's going on in the world now? So they are. I'm not sure they're charity based, but I think there's some national funding with them.
Fantastic. Well, they sound like a really good group, and it worked for you then. Although the groups and meeting peers who are going through maybe similar things, that managed to get you away from the drink. Is that fair to say?
I think yes. I think once you start talking to people in these small groups, you can build up these relationships, and they really it makes you wake up to the issues you're facing yourself. Yes, it was proper communications, and yes, that did help. Yes.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's brilliant. Now let's talk about your art. I mean, we've got you on to talk about your art. I just think there's a lot, and you've had a life which has led you down some different paths. But we found our way to art, which is fantastic. Now, I've had a look on your website. You've sent me some pictures as well by email of some of your artwork. Mark, this stuff's beautiful, really beautiful. Now, let's talk about, first of all, the Glastonbury tour. That clearly is something you love painting. Why is that?
But I think it's, especially around this part of the world, it's something magical and it's something beautiful. And obviously, I've travelled the world. I've travelled to Japan, seen Mount Fuji, and also I've travelled to Italy. But something about the Glastonbury tour, it's mystical, it's magical, and you can come from Bristol, you can come from different parts of Somerset. The tour always looks different from different angles. So I do really love painting it, and it's showcasing the wonderful diverse landscape of Somerset, which is on my website. It's globally seen, and when people see the tour, they want to know. And of course, it's spiritual. It's so many different legends, and I've got a small gallery called Muse Gallery, where it's a collective where we share the love of Glastonbury. And I think Glastonbury, there's so many brilliant artists and so people who do love the creative spirit of the world.
Oh, that was a fantastic answer, Mark. I mean, that was brilliant. You summed up so many great things there about Somerset and about people and about the town of Glastonbury as well. Brilliant. Okay, so that's something which comes up a lot. But also, you like to paint on driftwood, don't you? Where did that all start?
I think a couple of months ago, I was waiting for the bus, and luckily underneath a tree was a lovely old piece of bark was been on the ground. So I decided to give it a go. And then I got some driftwood, and I started painting. And obviously, with the wood, there's so many different textures, and the wood creates. You paint over the wood, it creates different effects. And I believe in it's so environmentally friendly, and again, it's showing the coastline, sunset, sunrise, and it's portraying the natural world and how important the natural world is to us.
Oh, that's fantastic. So I know you said there about the bark underneath the tree. So is that, you get it from places like that, or do you actually go to the coast to find your driftwood? Or how do you get hold of the wood?
Some of the wood is discarded wood from some of it's fence panels, which is broken in gouge.
Oh, yeah.
And again, it's wood and some wood from the sea. And again, I make sure the bark's falling off the tree, because you take bark off, you upset the wildlife. But it's completely renewable. It's about using materials which will normally be chucked in landfills, and it's about this being more globally friendly. And it's, as an artist, you can paint on most surfaces, and wood is a really fantastic, because it breaks down naturally anyway. So it's an organic thing I'm doing, and I think it's a fantastic surface to paint on.
Oh, fantastic! I think that's lovely. Now, I know that you obviously have painted on many different surfaces, that sort of thing. Is wood your favourite? You've mentioned there about the organic feel of it. Does that make it your favourite thing to use?
To be honest, at the moment, I painted on. Some of the work I've done on is old tiles. I painted on an old tabletop. So I'm trying to use really environmentally friendly ways. I've got to use old. Someone gave me an old coffee table, and it's somewhere on my website. So I painted a seascape on a coffee table, and I've used slabstones. I used tiles. So some of it's experimental.
Wow.
But each surface has got a different character. So sometimes, at the moment, I'm doing painting. The tour is two paintings, one with different seasons, and each different piece of work gives a different feel or a different emotion.
What do your family make of your artwork?
I think they really enjoy it, and they're really proud of me. Especially my daughter Cheryl and Isabel and Rubens come up to my studio, and they have a really fantastic time of painting.
Oh, lovely stuff. Now, I've had a text in here from one of our listeners, Bryn, who's just had a look at your artwork on Twitter. He says it's amazing. So you've already picked up another fan tonight, at least one fan, Mark. So it's been really great having you on. Let's talk about where people can see it. So Twitter is obviously one place. Bryn's found you. Where else can people find you online?
On Instagram, LinkedIn, obvious Facebook, my website. And that's the best place to be. Is obviously the main thing is my website. Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
Oh, fantastic! Well, it's really great to speak to you. Thank you so much for being in touch and letting us know all about it, Mark. It's fantastic. And so, will you through 2021 be painting an awful lot?
I think at the moment I'm hopefully going to get some funding to do some painting in Glastonbury. So we're looking for funding, and on one of my bedroom walls at the moment I'm doing a ginormous Turner painting.
Oh, wonderful! That sounds beautiful. I love Turner. Brilliant. Yeah. Okay, well, Mark, it's great to speak to you. I've just got your website up here for people who want to see it. It's marknoble.art. Yeah, is that right? It's www.marknoble.art. There we go. Perfect. Mark, it's great to speak to you tonight. Yeah. Thank you so much. And keep in touch with us when you've got some new projects going, and when that the mural, when that's done as well. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, cheers, Ed.
Thanks, Ed, Mark. Bye-bye. Mark Noble there. Great. Fantastic artwork. It really is beautiful. Take a look online. marknoble.art is how you get into his website. It's really beautiful. Just looking through his driftwood collection now. God, this guy paints a lot of artwork on there. And it's really beautiful. And the shapes, this is what I like about the driftwood, is that it's all different shapes. Whereas canvases, you generally get sort of rectangle in certain ways, don't you? All sorts of shapes here. Some of them not even sort of square or rectangle at all. Triangles, bendy ones, all bits of broken up wood. Really fascinating stuff. Great to speak to Mark as well. You can see all his work in there. marknoble.art is where to go to see that artwork. We, before 8 o'clock tonight, are going to be doing another Artist of the Week from BBC Music, introducing in the Southwest. Looking forward to bringing you that in the next 10 minutes. Wasn't that great to speak to Mark? What a guy. And fantastic artwork as well. Really worth having a look. So what I love about this programme, we meet those people doing incredible things around the county, finding people who've got, that's an amazing story Mark's been through. Someone who's managed to turn their life around after getting, he said, what did he say, serial binge drinking. Too much drinking. It was affecting his family, his relationship with his family, his relationship with his friends. The quality of his art was affected. He went to Turning Point, which he said was in Street, I think. And he's managed to turn his life around. He's been sober now for over a year. Great stuff. Mark, really lovely to chat to you. Mark Noble, artist based in Somerset, making incredible artwork, largely of the Glastonbury tour, but really, really beautiful stuff.